Good morning. It is time now for the Revelstoke Mayor Report with your Mayor Mark McKee. Good morning, Mark.
Morning, Sean.
So, Mark, you had your luncheon on Wednesday with the chamber, and it was your shirt is very colorful today. I'm
wearing it just for you, Sean.
It is very floral.
Yeah.
I should dive into that first. So, what do you have for us?
Well, I did get asked to speak.
It is very flowery. It is flowery. I'm just okay. Sorry.
It's my John Lennon shirt. It is.
Is it really a John Lennon branded shirt?
Yes.
Holy smokes, Mark.
Shows you how old I am. Anyways, I gave a talk to the chamber. They invited me to come and speak to them and talk about the 4 years of being on council and just give a kind of a recap. And I had staff go through a few things and put it all together. And I think they did a really good job. And I guess I just want to start off by saying is that, you know, I don't think that anybody is in any secret that this was a tough 4 years. It was a lot of controversy. There's a lot of big issues on the table. A lot of public was involved with lots of issues and controversies, and that's good. But it makes for a lot of time and work and everything. But I think that I'm going to quickly run through a list of all of the things that we accomplished. And even as controversial as the 4 years was, 4 years were. I think that a lot was done. We progressed quite a bit. The community as a whole progressed a lot, and I think that we can reflect back on it. And I think that's 4 years that I'm proud of. It was a lot of work, but regardless. So I'll just quickly run through it, and I'm going to run through some financial stuff, and then we got a couple of questions. So I'll try to be as brief as possible. But we started off in 2014, 2015. We incorporated the Big Eddy Waterworks into the city. We constructed new washroom facilities and senior exercise equipment at Kovacs Park. We started and implemented the new asset management system. We also implemented the C-Click Fix. We started the preliminary studies for the Victoria-Mutis Highway intersection. Of course, I started doing this radio show and having time available every Tuesday to stop into the mayor's office. City also improved its own communication via media releases and public notices, newsletters, brochures, social media, things like that. We started a fire hydrant replacement program. We purchased a new garbage truck. We upgraded the sound system at the community center, purchased a new fire engine. We increased the RCMP members by 1, and we started the preliminary site planning for new campground and park at Williamson's Lake. We started the designing of a new fire training center and an emergency operations center. The Center Street entrance to City Hall was opened. We started 2016, we started the petition to annex the properties of Thomas Brook into the city and provide water and sewer utilities to those properties. And we successfully received a grant for the Mutis Road intersection. We started the construction of the roundabout on Victoria Road. We upgraded the kitchen at the community center. The fire rescue training center was completed. We started re-looking at the Revelstoke trail strategy. The emergency operations center was completed. Revelstoke Museum upgrades were completed. We started replacing bear-proof garbage cans in parks. The Big Eddy water system was incorporated into the city. Affordable housing project on Oscar Street was opened. The Snowmobile Welcome Center was opened. In 2017, we completed the phase 1 of the Big Eddy Waterworks, and I'm going to talk about phase 2 here in a second. Boundary extension to the Thomas Brook with water and sewer services completed. Grant application for the roundabout on Townley Road was successful. We implemented long-term financial planning. This has included a new 15-year budget and new financial policies. We supported the Air Charter Service. Golf club enhancements to fairways and greens were done. We supported the Street Festival in the first year of Luna. The Revelstoke Trail strategy was completed. That was in 2017. Bear-proof garbage cans from the downtown core were purchased and installed. And, of course, we got a new hotel on the highway, the Ramada. 2018, the Revelstoke Splash Park Society was invigorated and started doing their pushing for their fundraising campaign. That project they've received all the money that to build it, and that will be being built in starting May of next year. We continue to help with the golf course maintenance and possible future growth. We initiated planning for the development of the roundabout at Townley and Victoria. We continued this year was the second year of Luna Fest. We continue to support the air charter service. We are going to be having a soft opening of the new skateboard park later this month. And we are just in the middle of finalizing our new cannabis bylaw. So those are all the things that we did accomplish. There was more on the list, like we always do, and these are now going to be handed over to the next council. OCP update was one. Zoning bylaw update is another one. Vacation rental study and the next steps with dealing with vacation rental, and of course the now infamous development cost charge bylaw, which is in drastic need of being updated. So those are the accomplishments of the last 4 years. But I think what's interesting is that I have a snapshot of our financial situation and as it compares from 2014 to 2018. And of course, 2018 is not finished, so it's not completely finalized, the last numbers. But let's start off with our total debt in 2014 was $19.2 million. And these are debt for things like water treatment plant, indoor aquatic center, RCMP station. It goes on and on and on of what those projects are. And some of the new projects that are going to be added onto that is the Thomas Brook Water and the Big Eddy Water System, which are going to be funded by those residents. So the debt was $19.2 million in 2014. It steadily declined until right now, today, we are at $14.2. So we've dropped $5 million in debt in the last 4 years. Of course, there is going to be some debt added on for Thomas Brook and Big Eddy Water, but it's going in the right direction. In the last 4 years, and this does not include 2018, because the grants are dependent on how much you spend on projects, but we collected from other levels of government $16.5 million. That's just 2014, 15, 16, and 17. $16.5 million. We did approximately infrastructure projects, roads, water, sewer, vehicles, buildings. The total amount we spent on infrastructure is $24 million. And our reserves in 2014, we had $8.5 million in reserves. Right now, in 2018, we're budgeting for the end of this year to have $11.5 million in reserves. So our debt's down approximately $5 million. We've done $24 million worth of work. We received $16.5 million in grants, and our reserves have gone up just short of $3 million. So, there's a lot of talk going on that the city's going to hell in a handbasket financially, and that's just not the case. And it's real easy if all you're concerned about is lowering debt and being debt free. It's real easy. Don't do anything. Well, I don't think that's a fair statement for the people in the Big Eddy or Thomas Brook or people that want to move and live here. So we have to balance what we want to be as a community with how we're going to get there. And we're going to get there by looking after our infrastructure, making sure that it's not going to fall apart and be more expensive to replace. But also we have to plan for future growth and making sure that we can meet those needs. And that's why things like development cost charges are so important. So that's going to be thrown to the next council. But again, I think it's worthwhile for us to get a snapshot of how we're doing. And I hope that most people would agree with me that we're actually doing a lot better than some people think we are. And we also should take a second to look around at where we live and who we live with and the quality of life that we have in this community, because I think that we all enjoy a pretty good quality of life here. So anyways, I'll leave it with that. And the first comment I would like to make away from this stuff here is that we talked about Big Eddy Water a little while ago. Well, The Big Eddy water, the phase 2 is going to be hooked up to the phase 1. So there's going to be a connection that's going to be unconnected. It's going to be on Tuesday. So the water in Big Eddy is going to be shut off on Tuesday, and they're going to go as fast as they can to hook up the phase 2 to the phase 1. But just a warning, and there will be lots of notices. There's going to be ads in the radio that water in the Big Eddy is going to be shut off on Tuesday, and I don't have a time frame of when it'll be turned back on. Okay?
So shower on Monday.
Shower on Monday. I did just get a text that the Big Eddy water is going to be shut off on Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. So you can still get that shower in. Just
do it
don't
early.
Go in the shower at 5 to 9. You want to do that about 8:30.
Yeah, okay.
9 to 4, Big Eddy water be shut off, and then that's the completion of phase 2, hook up to phase 1.
You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Let's talk about the RCFC fund and why it became a legacy fund and why it wasn't infused back into the system so that it would lower our tax dollars.
Okay. Well, I think it's worthwhile just to back up a little bit. Back when we set up the Forest Corporation, and I was on council and pushing for it, and Jeff was Battersby was the mayor. We at that time, the forest industry was really going through a crisis, and what we were realizing is that here we are in this area, surrounded by trees, logging going on, and yet 92% of the logs that were harvested were being shipped out of town to be processed. So only 8% of the logs harvested in this area were being processed in this area. So and there was issues with the TFL. It was I think it was TFL 23 at the time, but anyways, they took the TFL and they split it up into TFL 55 and 56, and it was actually put up for sale. And we had meetings with the minister of the day, and we were actually, as a community, encouraged to look at buying the TFL as a economic development project, have control over the wood, and there was regulations put on it, and we joined up with industry partners, and the industry partners at the time were Downey and Joe Kozak Sawmill and Cascade Cedar and ourselves. But the city is not allowed to go into business with anybody, so we were actually they put money up, the industry partners put money up for exchange for wood. And the city is the sole owner of the Community Forest Corporation. We put logs on the open market and sold them, and so it was kind of an impetus for turning the whole logging industry or the forest industry around in the community, and it's actually something that a lot of other communities are trying to emulate. So, anyways, what we decided at the time was that there's opportunity here. We went for it. The Forest Corp, the first thing was to get it on strong financial footing. So the idea we weren't going to take any money out of it. It paid off its debt. It ran a good corporation. It made money in good years and lost money in bad years. But overall, it's done extremely well. It's actually provided a lot of the funding for the Revelstoke Community Energy Corporation. And the Energy Corporation is still indebted to the Forest Corporation and owes it money. We set up a policy that after so much money was put aside, and let's call it, for the sake of our argument, we'll call it $1 million. When it has $1 million set aside for rainy days, the Forest Corp will then make cash inputs into the city. And the board asked that this legacy fund be created and it do things outside of normal city operations. So it doesn't just become general revenue. It actually is there to create things for the community as lasting projects or homage to the Forest Corporation. Now, having said that, it's city money, it's city council money, it's a city corporation, it's owned by the taxpayers, and council can basically do whatever it wants with that money. This was what we had negotiated with the board, and so right now, I'm going to say that there is $800,000 in that fund. There was a $600,000 input this year, $300,000 last year. So $100,000 went to the splash park, and $800,000 is sitting in there, and it's just earmarked as a legacy fund, and it really is up to council to decide what it wants to do. So if council today wants to put it into general revenue, that's their decision to make. So
that's basically it. So it could be used for a legacy fund in terms of more community-minded projects, or it could go right back into general revenue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and just to clarify, when I say TFL 55 and 56, what I mean is that it's tree farm license. So it's land base, it's all of the assets that are on that land. That's what the corporation owns, and it's they don't own the timber because it's owned by the Crown, but they own all the logging roads and the rights to the timber. And of course they have to pay stumpage according to what the rules are. So it's the city has a tree farm license.
I think that's a lot to. That's an overload, Mark. Plus, I'm still overwhelmed by your shirt. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Sean.